Our last presentation before we take our afternoon break will be delivered by PSSO President Jeff Iovannone, PSSO Vice President Angela Fernandes, and PSSO Treasurer Tejal Shotriya. For this year's Work Weekend event, Cornell, HPP, and CRP students, joined by preservation students from Texas Tech University, engaged in conservation work at the historic Hull Family House and Farmstead, the oldest stone building in Western New York. Students also participated in a walking tour of terracotta buildings in downtown Buffalo, led by HPP alum Christy Limniadis of Preservation Buffalo Niagara, as well as a tour of the Gray Cliff Conservancy in Derby, New York, which was the vacation home designed by Frank Lloyd Wright for Buffalo's prominent Martin family. PSSO and HPPA also attended a reception at Community Beer Works in Buffalo. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay, hi everyone. Sorry you have to hear from me again, but I'm going to put a link in the chat to or a Cornell box that we created that has photographs from the work weekend in it. If you want to look through them on your own time, we're just going to show a sampling of that, and I think there's close to 200 photos in the box. If you want to check those out, let me, share my screen again. Okay. Okay. All right, so as Michelle mentioned, we went to Buffalo for this year's work weekend, and our work site was the Hull Family Home and Farmstead, which is located in Lancaster, New York, and it's the oldest restored stone residence in Western New York. The house was built circa 1810 by Warren and Polly Hull, who were two of the area's earliest residents. Here's another view of the house. And the Hulls, interestingly, purchased their parcel of land from Joseph Ellicott, who was the surveyor who platted what would become the city of Buffalo in 1804 for the Holland Land Company. So the Hull House was purchased in 1992 by the Landmark Society of the Niagara Frontier, today Preservation Buffalo Niagara, and it's now owned and operated by the Hull House Foundation, and we worked closely with the president of the foundation, Gary Costello. And the goal of the foundation is to educate the community about early settlers to Western New York through hands-on engagement with the past and also various forms of historical reenactment. So to just give some examples of what they do, they host annual spring cleaning events where visitors experience what cleaning was like in the early 19th century through garden and food preparation and rug beating. Unfortunately, we didn't get to beat any rugs. And they also organize an annual summer history camp for kids, where students in 5th to 7th grade learn about and experience pioneer life in Western New York over the course of a week. So the Hull House's really hands-on approach to history and community engagement was really embodied in our experience with the site and the work that we did. So in terms of the primary house that's on the farmstead, we got to work on window reglazing on the first story of the house. So removing the deteriorated putty, replacing it with new putty. Everyone really seemed to love this. It was really detail oriented and almost meditative work. And so everyone at one point or another had a chance to do some reglazing. Here's Laurel and Ritika inspecting their work on some of the windows. And we also got to, while we were working, do a couple mini tours. So we got to see the interior of the house, and we were allowed to explore and look at things and touch things and really investigate in a way that you might not typically get to in a historic house museum. So here's an example of one of the bedrooms with period authentic but not period original paint colors and furnishings. And then we also scraped and primed an adjacent 19th century barn. So on the farmstead, there's the primary residence, and then there's also a Queen Anne style house that serves as the foundations, offices, and also event space, and then the barn that we worked on. Here's Laurel again, getting her scrape on. And here's a few more photographs of scraping and priming. And we also got to see the Hull family cemetery, which is located in the back of the property, and hear about some of the restoration work that the foundation has done to restore the family burial ground. And then here is all of us posing in front of the house with Gary Costello after a job well done. And of course, as Michelle mentioned, Mayar and 3 of his students from Texas Tech were also able to join us for the work weekend. Okay, and I will turn things over to my colleague Angela to talk about the terracotta city tour. And Angela, just let me know when you want me to advance the slide.
Sure. So yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Like Jeff explained, after a long day of scraping and priming and window glazing, we then headed towards the end of our trip to the Market Arcade in downtown Buffalo, where we met with Christy Limniatis, who's also an HPP alumni and currently the Director of Preservation Services at Preservation Buffalo Niagara, who is going to then lead us on this Terracotta City walking tour, which is actually organized by the PBN through the windy streets of downtown Buffalo. So as you all may know, terracotta is one of the oldest ornamental building materials, and it has been used as embellishment on many Buffalo's iconic buildings downtown. And this was more relevant to us, especially the first year students, because we were at that point taking the BMC class with Kristen, like the spring semester. So we studied the material in detail. So the tour, on this tour, we got to visit, like starting from Market Arcade, we went then to Shea's Performing Arts Center in the theater district. There was Electric Tower that we seen, Liberty Building, the City Hall, of course, and Buffalo Savings Bank. And finally ending at Sullivan's Guarantee Building. So yeah, maybe you can go to the next slide, Chad. So here is Christy in her element, and she can get very animated while giving her tour, but it was so much fun. Surely a highlight meeting her on this trip, and the way she talks so passionately about the terracotta buildings in Buffalo. Yeah, next. Oh, this is our colleague and classmate, Zach, who seems very fascinated with the intricate terracotta details on the Guarantee Building, one of the stops on the tour. Yeah, so apart from the main highlights, there were also other buildings on the walking tour from downtown Buffalo. And in the cases of these two buildings, that's the Brisbane and Calumet building, she also spoke about how restoration of terracotta works has been undertaken, and how extensions and like the basic approaches to preservation with terracotta, where you see examples of good and bad rehabilitations as well. Yeah, next. And finally, on the next day, she also took us on another bonus tour to the Richardson Olmsted campus, where we got a chance to walk around the whole campus, look at the state of the masonry, talk about the building, the materials there, and how restoration has been taken place in like different wings. And basically, the whole discussion then was directed towards preservation, heritage management, and we also got to see the state of the current rehabilitation that is being taking place up and close on the construction site. Yeah, and I think I can hand over to Tejal to talk about Great Cliff. Yeah.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. I will be speaking about Frank Lloyd Wright's Great Cliff, which we visited on the last day. This was constructed in 1927 for a client named Isabella R. Martin. Perched on a cliff high above Lake Erie on the outskirts of Buffalo, Great Cliff is one of the most ambitious summer estate Wright ever designed and has been aptly named as the jewel of the lake. Next, please, Jeff. The summer estate spreads over 8.5 acres, including 3 structures and gardens. The main residence is the most notable for its pavilion-like center of transparent glasses, which enables one to see through the house to the lake beyond. The building's graceful organic style also features cantilevered balconies, ribbon windows, and expansive terraces. In 1951, following the decrees of both the Martins, the property was purchased by the Roman Catholic teaching order from Hungary, who modified the structure to serve as a boarding school. When it was put for sale and threatened to demolish, in 1997, the local community rallied to form the Great Cliff Conservancy. Great Cliff Conservancy basically restored the Wright's original design and now remains like a public museum. Next, please. Oh, as you can see, the HPPA is wearing protective booties, trying not to touch the historic furnishes. This was the best experience throughout our tour where we were clicking photos around. Next. How can we forget Lloyd's windows? This is a diamond-shaped iconic window. Next, please. Any questions?
Thanks, Jeff, Angela, and Tejal. Being out here on the West Coast, this really makes me wish that I lived a little bit closer and could participate in work weekend events like this. Sounds like you guys have done a lot of really interesting tours, and the project at the whole family farmstead is really interesting. Have any questions from the audience? Ashima.
Not necessarily a question, but a couple of observations. One was, I'm bummed that you had a work weekend in Buffalo soon after I left. So I haven't been to a work weekend in a long time. Okay, so I was going to say, Angela, since you mentioned terracotta, and Christy, of course, is a great resource. Boston Valley Terracotta is a really good local resource in the Buffalo area. So if any of you are interested in internships, particularly if you have an architecture background, at UB, I have to stop myself from saying our because it's no longer our. Many of UB students often go there for internships, and it's a really great learning hands-on experience, particularly because they do projects all over the country on historic terracotta. So that could be another great resource for all of you. But yeah, that looks like a fun experience, and I had a little bit of a nostalgia, so thank you.
Anybody else?
Well, Ashima has the opportunity in Indiana to sponsor a work weekend for an historic site there, right?
You know what? That could be a possibility next year. Not going to lie. You never know.
Oh, Jeff, this is your opportunity to work with an alum with another site in a part of the world where, well, there are all sorts of delightful modernist things.
Yes, I am actually trying to figure out some projects with Indiana landmarks for fall and spring for my students. And so I think if that is something that could be feasible, I don't know how much of a driving distance it would be. I know usually you tend to stick within a 5-hour driving distance, but depending on how it is, it could be a possibility. Going forward, I don't know if there's been a work weekend in Indiana, so that could be fun. There are definitely a lot of opportunities.
We have lots of alumni in the Midwest. There has not been an Indiana specific work weekend, right?
Okay.
But there's no reason there couldn't be.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
And Mayar brought his students from Texas, for God's sakes. It's nothing. If Mayar can bring students from Texas, we can certainly go to Indiana. I'll stop because I can create all sorts of nonsense.
Any other questions?
When was the first time that students did the work weekend?
The first work weekends.
Oh, that's history.
Yeah, well, Barbara, why don't you say something about the first work weekends and where they were and where you found yourself on a crane or
Oh, you mean that's
cafe.
actually not the first work weekend though, Mike. That's the first big work
weekend.
We had several. We had one down here in Petersburg, Virginia, that preceded the Ellis Island work weekends. But we had one in Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, that preceded the Ellis Island work weekends. The Ellis Island work weekends were in 1999, and 2000. And those were the big work weekends.
Cape May preceded Ellis Island.
Cape May preceded, exactly. Right. And I think Cape May may have been #1, Susanna.
Yes.
I think it was.
So. Yeah.
Oh, because that may have been I almost said 1888. Oh God.
Yeah, not quite that early.
It probably was like 1988 or.
Well, it had to be like 83, 80.
No.
Oh, well, I graduated in 88, so it's probably 89 because I was.
That sounds right.
I actually have a list somewhere, but I don't know where that somewhere is right now. So I started a list.
If you have that list, it would be great if you can like send it to us so we can put it in the website saying that these are all the work weekends that we have done from 88, 89.
Oh my God, I probably still have pictures from those work weekends. I should dig them out. That would be fun.
I have pictures from them too. I definitely do.
See if you can scan them.
I was actually looking at pictures of the work weekend that was over near, it wasn't the one in Liberty, New York, but near there, Mike. I don't remember what it was called. It would have been in about, it was like some kind of a community building that was used for programming and plays and what was her name? Oh, God, I have the pictures, so I don't remember what year though.
You're right, Barbara. This was it was a community theater that we were working on. You're right, down somewhere in the southern tier, not far from Liberty.
Wasn't it Delaware County?
It may have been. So it may have been.
I've got the pictures. I've got photos from the Liberty weekend and the Town and Country building.
Yeah, and that one, I don't think I have pictures from that one, but I have ones from the earlier ones.
And that began as a dry goods store, but then it evolved into kind of community building, or at least that was the plan.
I have, in 2010, the Wyco Community Church in West Virginia.
That's right.
In 2011, the Medina Stone Farm in New York.
Yep.
And I have them all the way up to 2019 in this, but I don't have the earlier ones because I was trying to get them. I was actually updating my very old alumni directory, very old. It's the historic alumni directory. It's literally got things written all over it. And in the inside, it's got like everybody's names crossed out and their new, where they are, and then all the names of all the new people. So they go around the edges of all the pages. So
I designed that header, by the way, because that was my
right.
office. That dormer was my little office when I had my 1/5 TA ship.
Yeah. This is from 2001.
I think you always got credit too on the
yeah. So what's the next work weekend?
I really encourage you to like share whatever you have with us so we can like put it in the website. Who should we
send it to? Who should we send it?
You can send it to me. I will put my address here.
Thank you. Because I've been wondering how to get them. I mean, you know, I'm at the point in my life where I need to start putting things to other people, and people in my family would look at these pictures of work weekends and go, what are these? So I need to make sure that they get to someone who might actually have some use for them. Maybe, who knows?
Definitely, we can share them in the website so everyone can enjoy them. Okay.
Jeff has suggested maybe a digital exhibit of work weekends. There is 102 West Sibley on the top of the shelf on the left. There's an exhibit that was produced for of work we had done for a CRP activity, and some of the photographs are there or would be useful. But there are far more in the collections of the alumni who participated, and it's just a matter. Jack probably, in my mind, Jack and Barbara are probably the most constant for having always participated. You know, it's simply by virtue of having participated to get some sense of the, well, you're hearing the history of the largest though was Ellis Island, and I don't know whether in actual numbers, Barb, whether the 1999 or the 2000 numbers were greater.
Probably 99, because that was the very first time that we opened it up to any alumni who were in the New York City area. And that and the fact that we were going behind the scenes at Ellis Island made it a kind of a special event for everybody.
Yeah,
so,
I think you're probably right.
It was phenomenally busy. We were running out of supplies all the time.
Yep.
Well, and we did a lot of work there.
We did.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wonder what still
Accomplished
exists
a lot
of it, though. Does anybody go by on the ferry and take a look?
The work, I have gone back, Barb, and I've actually gone by on a couple of occasions. John Nedak is still in place. The Park Service actually removed and replaced some of the panels that we put in place.
Well, it's been 20 some odd years.
That's right.
And it's right on the water.
Yeah, but it had to do, it was very interesting to learn that they actually removed the panels first for a movie production and then put them back because they gained money in the process. It was very, very fascinating, but the process, more particularly, you should all know, the process that we established became the model. We did the project, in a sense, to do the project scoping for a congressional appropriation for Ellis Island's buildings that were in part of they're part of the asylum, not part of the immigration hall, because they had been abandoned. The buildings on asylum had been abandoned. But that was how that project came about, working with the Park Service to establish basically the cost estimates for the stabilization of that part of the island.
And you don't know it until you're there that it's in New Jersey.
Right.
Then you find out, no, the immigration center is in New York, but the part we were working on was in New Jersey.
And that's why the congressional appropriation, because it was not a New York State appropriation, it was jointly backed by the state of New Jersey and the state of New York's representation. Ancient history for work weekend.
I will send pictures on. You will have more than you bargained for. Do you want pictures of students graduating from that long ago too, or not?
Anything I think would be helpful.
Okay, because I have that too. I have lots and lots of graduations, probably 10 years worth of graduations, if
cool.
not more. So
I think now that we can save everything digitally, right? I mean, that's as long as somebody
makes it a lot easier
willing to do
having piles of pictures.
Yeah, that'd be great to really start an archive, a true archive.
I do have an archive box too, just in case anybody's interested. Julie Johnson likes to get rid of things, and so she gave me all of the archive stuff that she had, and I have a box under my dresser that's marked HPPA archives. So I don't even
maybe we have to have a work weekend going through and scanning all of that stuff.
We had a weekend, an alumni weekend, where we worked on the map sale. Do you guys, anybody remember that? Maybe Jack Glassman. Do you remember that, Jack?
No, I don't think it was that. I think it was actually a board meeting for HPPA.
Oh, okay.
And, we actually spent part of the afternoon or something like that. We were sorting maps that we had found in some closet.
Yeah.
Up in Sibley.
Yep.
Some closet someplace. So, yeah.
Well, what a great tradition of HPPA and other organizations where all the archives move from underneath somebody's dresser to underneath the next person's bed to underneath.
True. Good times.
So what's the next working weekend? Do we know yet?
We're going to be in Indiana.
Sounds like it.
Right, Ashma?
Or that would be awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I would love that.
Well, it all depends too. You got to enlist the first years. Christina, are you ready to go to Indiana? Christina is on the call, but I'm not sure she is listening in.
So do we get back together at 6, or what's the deal, Michelle?
Correct. So I think now people want to stay on and chatting. That's great. If not, I think that we'll probably take I guess it would be about a 2.5-hour break, and we would rejoin at 6 Eastern and 3 p.m. Break time.
Hello, sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I am on the call and I'm listening to everything. Sorry, I just was trying to do something else and couldn't click on the button fast enough. But yeah, I would be interested to go to Indiana.
You've got your first volunteer, Ashima.
Yep.
I want to come.
Yeah, come. It'll be so much fun. It'll be a nice little reunion. I haven't seen most people on this call in so long. We were last in Buffalo together, I think, Emily.
Do we have a date for this weekend?
It's official. We will have a date and then everything's set.
It'll likely be next spring, right? Yeah. Yeah, so what, April, May?
Well, what's good in Indiana?
Yeah. Well, whatever is New York is the weather here, so it doesn't really matter. We had some weird April snow events this year, so I don't know, maybe May. I can't remember. Does it typically happen in like the last couple of weeks of classes? I'm trying to remember what the timeline is for work weekend, or is it right after graduation weekend?
Generally before graduation.
Before graduation, okay. Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah, because then who do I coordinate with? Is it PISO or is it HPPA?
Jeff. Yeah, Jeff.
Okay.
Well, Jeff
okay.
and Meyer. Jeff and Meyer.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so we can coordinate and then see and maybe brainstorm on some sites and see where to go.
That'd be fun.
That would be fun. Yeah, it would be a world of difference from both, well, all of New York. So yeah, as I have discovered.
I will join from Texas.
Yeah, you will feel right at home here, coming from Texas.
I would be interested to join that as well. Just keep me posted. I'm actually from Indiana, so that would be great.
Oh, nice. Where are you from in Indiana?
The north side of Indianapolis, the place called Zionsville.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Nice. I'm in West Lafayette.
Oh, okay. Yep,
Yeah.
straight west.
Yep. Yeah. So go to Indiana quite a bit, Indianapolis quite a bit. Okay, sounds good. This was awesome. I will catch up with you all at 6 for our roundtable. And so nice to see everyone. Bye.
Making things happen.
See you all in a few hours.